This demonstration of Excel is designed so that you can follow along and learn some of the basic functionality of the spreadsheet. So the first thing we're going to do is add our name to the first cell. So we click our mouse there and we type in a name. The next thing I want to do is to change it to a boldface. So I go back to highlight that cell again, and up in the top bar I've got functions just like we're used to in a word processor, so I can go ahead and click bold and it changes to bold. If I wanted, I could also change the font size to be something bigger. Next thing I want to do is adjust the column width to fit my name, so I click on the split bar up in the header and I move it over. So I've got a little bar there and I just drag it over. Now I want to put in a couple of headings. I'm going to put in a heading called mark. I'm going to put in another heading called out of and percentage. And similarly, I'm going to adjust the column width for percentage so that it fits the whole word in there. Now I'm going to go ahead and put in some kind of random marks into this column. If nothing else, we can certainly say that this student is inconsistent. The next thing I want to do is fill in the out of column, and for convenience I'm going to say that they're all the same. So I'm going to type in the number 100 there, and if I want, just to simplify things, I'm going to right click and say copy, and then I can click and drag down while holding the mouse button, and then I can right click in the paste options. You notice I have an option here to just plain paste, so I'll select that and it pastes the 100 into all of those cells. Now we're going to enter a formula into the percentage column. So I can hit escape to get rid of that copy function, and now I'm going to move to the percentage column. What I want to do here is I'm going to start off by entering a formula. To do a formula, I start with the equal sign, then I move my mouse and I click it on the mark, then I'll press the divided by key, and then click on the out of column and press enter. And it shows I've got 0.1. I want to convert that into a percentage now, so I'm going to do that for everything in the column. So I'm going to highlight the whole column by clicking on the header, right click there, and click on Format Cells. When the Format Cells come up, I'm going to change that to say I want percentage, and I only want to have one decimal place. And I click OK. So now it's changed it to 10%. Now I want that same formula applied in each cell. So I can go ahead and copy it. In this case, I'm using the keyboard shortcut, Control-C, but I could have just as easily right-clicked and said copy. Then I select all of the empty cells, and again, I can do Control-V as a keyboard shortcut to paste, or I could have used the right-click and paste options. Now, let's add another formula. We'll add up all the marks that we received. So I'm going to click on the cell underneath all of the marks. Because I'm going to do a formula, I'm going to press the equal sign, type in the word sum, and a bracket. As soon as I've got the bracket, it's now looking for me to select a group of cells, so I can click on those cells, click and drag while holding the mouse button, and it shows a range. If I press the close bracket and then press enter, it totals up all of the numbers in that column. Now if I want to add up the out of column, I can do kind of the same thing. This time I'm going to copy this cell and paste it over there. The cool thing here is it's showing you now how it changed the column that it was adding up from here, where it was adding the mark column, which was column B. Now it's adding up column C. Just like when we did the percentages over here, here it was taking columns B and C from row 2, and in the next line it knew to change over and start working with row 3, and row 4 and row 5, and so on. Now, since these are both totals, just for fun, I'm going to make them bold again so they stand out a little bit. And to improve my formatting a little bit, I'm going to start using some borders. So again, up in the top menu bar here, I've got some borders. I'm going to go and select top border. And if I click away, you can see now there's a black line there that's sort of delineating the end of the columns. Now we'd like to calculate the average mark received. There are a couple ways of doing this. The first method, since we've already totaled up the mark and out of columns, is to simply create a formula in the last cell to divide one total by the other. So I could hit equals, select the mark column, press divided by, and the out of column, and then press enter. And it'll automatically do the calculation for me. Now, if we hadn't already totaled up the two columns, we could have combined all of that information into one. So I could have simply gone here and said equals to start a new formula, type in sum, select all of the entries from that first column, then divided by sum bracket and all of the column C, close bracket, and press enter. And of course we're going to get the same answer. And the third method is to use the built-in functionality in Excel, which allows you to request the average of a range of numbers. So again, we press equals to start a formula, type in the word average. The drop-down list it shows are some functions that are available to us. Press the open bracket, select the range of cells, close bracket, and press enter. And again, it gives us the average value. Now, one final pro tip to make your Excel spreadsheets look a little snappier. Often you want to draw attention to a particular cell depending on its value. In this case, I might want to highlight cells that don't have a passing grade. The beauty of doing this in a spreadsheet is that if any of the data changes, the system will automatically recalculate everything for you. Suppose that I'd accidentally entered the first mark incorrectly. I changed the 10 to 100, and it automatically does the calculation for me again. So let's see how we would go about changing it. I'm going to roll that back so the mark is 10. And how would we go about drawing attention to things that are not a passing grade? So I'm going to highlight, actually I'll just go ahead and highlight everything in this column. And we've got a button that's on the Home tab called Conditional Formatting. So we'll go ahead and click Conditional Formatting, click Highlight Cell Rules, and then select Less Than. Type in 60%. And then what do I want it to do with that? I'm going to choose Custom Format. I'm going to ask it to be bold. I'm going to change the color to red to draw my attention to it. And then I can click OK. And you can see now that every mark that has fallen below the 60% range shows up in red. If I go back and change this to 100 now, you'll see it changed that mark to be now in black, and it changed the student's overall average from red to black because they're now above the 60% range. So the process is almost identical in Google Sheets. I'm going to go through that a little more quickly just so that you can get a sense of it, but a lot of the tasks are the same. It's just some of the custom formatting and things like that are a little bit different. In Google Sheets, the process pretty much starts off the same. I'll go ahead and select the first cell and type in my name. Then I'll select that cell, click on bold, and I'll change the font to a larger font, and I can adjust the cell size in the same way. I'll go ahead and put in the columns the same, marks and out of, and percentage, and then go ahead and put in some dummy data for us. The out of process is the same. I'll type in 100, and then I can copy it and paste it. Percentage, I'll go ahead and click equals the first cell divided by the second cell and press enter. The process is exactly the same. This time, again, I'll do a keyboard shortcut of Control-C to copy, click and drag to highlight, and Control-V to paste. Adding up the columns is also the same, equals sum, the bracket, highlight the cell range, and press enter. I can copy and paste that into that space, and you can see I've got some formatting already left over from the last time I was practicing here, and so I could go ahead and toggle those using the bold facing to make it bold or not. I can go ahead, I want to add a border, so the same process, selecting borders from the top button bar, and select top border, and it's added a border to those three cells. Now I can go ahead and do the average in the same way. I can say equals first total divided by the second total, and I can get it that way. I could have also, though, done exactly the same thing, typing in the formula and putting it all together, sum of that divided by the sum of this column, close bracket, and press enter. I get the same. And it also has the average function, and it's smart enough to even guess what columns I wanted to average out. So I'll go ahead and I'll select that and press enter. And you can see that it follows the same methods. It does the calculations for me. Now the conditional formatting, I can go ahead and select that column, format, choose conditional formatting,